7.1 to St. Pete.
Happy Friday here.
From the Weather Tight
We
Windows
are,
studio.
sorry for the
Now
background noise.
it's the Soul
We're
Brother
linked to
Kevin Show.
The Soul Brother Kevin Show. There it is. So we're going to go live with Soul Brother Kevin here in a minute and have a little fun, talk some law on You Be the Lawyer, see how this goes. We actually got hooked up with him today. So we're ahead of the game already. So here, I'll go quiet for a second as they come on the air. We can chat for a few more minutes. Hope you guys had a good week. Nothing too crazy. Hopefully you got some weekend plans. Relax a little bit. Alright. I'll shut up now so they can come on the air.
Thank God it's Friday. I got my 40, homie.
I got 2 pounds of crispy weed. I'm rolling through St. Cloud. Whoa, driving down 192.
Guess we're going to play a little more music here, so we'll just keep hanging out apparently.
Everybody's looking for that ganja. But they don't gotta go up to Orange. No, life is a big fat split. Take a big fat whip on this chronic.
Quite the intro.
Time to rise up against them. Rude boys been charged by
This is their music, not mine, but they're just jamming today.
Soul Brother Kevin Show on 102.5 The Bone, powered by the Supervillains right now.
People, if you're down with the purple, it's time to get verbal, or this is what you're gonna be stuck with.
Cat Nemo is here, JR is here, Spike on the mic here, Dizzy is here.
You can't come with win again. You'll be back on the street again. I want to fly away. Alright, when I'm set to stay, I want to get high today. Maybe I'm too afraid.
All right, welcome back to the show. Man, I tell you what, we are getting ready to talk to attorney Moses DeWitt from the DeWitt Law Firm, and then we're going to do a super mega version of all of our bits where we mash up the Mo Better News, the Crazy Eights with JR, I almost said with Spike, and the, what's Spike's bit called?
That ain't right.
That ain't right on the radio. And then we do Dizzy's power moves. Man, I don't know how we're going to maneuver all of that, but I think we've done it before, and we can probably do it again. Let's welcome our guest on the line, Attorney Moses DeWitt. You can contact on his website, justcallmo.com, and also you can lock it into your phone, 866-CALL-MO, for all of your legal needs. Mo, what's going on?
Oh, not much. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good, man. I'm sure you had a successful week of suing and defending and all that good stuff.
Lots of
paperwork.
Lots of suing.
That's a good thing. That's a good place to be because you know what, Mo? I don't think enough people are getting sued.
I agree with you. I threatened to sue someone yesterday just for fun.
Yeah. Do you ever you ever have a client call you and they want to sue about one thing and you go, hey, man, that's not really something I can sue for. But from what you described, there's 2 other things you can sue about.
Well, the first part, when someone calls and says, can you sue for this? And you can't really sue for that. That happens about 20 times a day. But other times, yeah, I mean, There's definitely cases where, just because they don't know the law, they don't know what aspects they really should be going after. So they think, X is a big deal and really they should be focused on Y.
Right. So a lot of times you're weeding through potential cases with people who they might have been done wrong, but there's not like a legal action that can actually be taken.
Yeah, sometimes the legal action they want taken may not be the best one. For example, I think we talked about this case on the air a while ago, but I had a case where a kid was over at his friend's house and he was doing some like WWE wrestling moves with the dad, and the dad kind of did a sweeper kick and kicked the kid's shin, and it kind of flipped the shin backwards. And originally the parents called me. They wanted to have the dad arrested, and they wanted to have a restraining order put against him and all this kind of stuff. I'm going, well, it's not really criminal. He didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
Right.
He was negligent, but it was an accident. It's not really a restraining order case. It's not, a deliberate act. Again, they were playing roughhousing, and this happened. And we kind of said, you could. These really aren't your best avenues. Why don't you go after to get a recovery for the medical bills, the pain and suffering, all the surgeries your kid's going to need, all that kind of stuff, and do some good for them that way. So, they called us for one thing, but in the end, they kind of went after something else.
It ended up being something else. Quick question before we get into the legal case of the week, Mo. Okay, I understand when it comes to public figures that there's a certain thing with being a public figure that you can't necessarily sue people for having an opinion on what you actually put out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a little harder for public figures. Okay, if you are no longer a public figure, can you then get the rights of a normal person? Or once you're a public figure, you're always a public figure, even if you're not doing any more figuring?
I mean, I think that's a great question, and I don't know that there's a clear answer, but I would think that the court would probably rule if the media and the news outlets are still talking about you, then you're still probably a public figure. So
even though you're not doing anything to fuel any of that,
right? Because at one time you made yourself a public figure, and even though you may have not done that in a while, you've kind of still availed yourself to that forum, to the media, and profited on it or not profited on it. But since you already did that, even if you kind of go back into the shadows, you're still ultimately a public figure, even if no one's heard from you in a while.
Question: if that's the case, is everyone with a Facebook page a public figure?
Well, they're out there in the public. Are they a public figure like a celebrity? Not necessarily, but you bring up a good point, because now you have.
Well, hold on. What, does the court have a definition on what a celebrity is?
I'm sure they do,
because
to some degree.
I can make an argument that I'm on the radio broadcasting on the airwaves, and there's people on Facebook that don't broadcast. They only do Facebook, and they have more of a reach and a coverage to the general public than I do.
Exactly, and I think that's where those definitions are going to start to be blurred, because you have TikTok stars who have millions of followers. You have Facebook people, YouTube people. So you're absolutely right. There's more of a reach on some social media. Now, mama and papa on there with, 20 grandkids following them, and that's about it. They're obviously not going to be a public figure. But when you're going on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, and you're putting yourself out there, and you have followers, and you're kind of building that, social media influencer, where does that drop you in the definition? That's a good question.
I don't think that's been fleshed out yet, man, because I can make an argument that it's not about the response. You could be putting out content and just not be very good at it. Doesn't mean you're not a public figure. You could be on the radio and have the lowest rated show. You're a public figure and no one's hearing you, and there's somebody eating a bologna sandwich on TikTok and they got 3 million people watching.
I think I've seen the
same video
what I mean?
You
like, have.
Yeah, well, I like watching hot chicks eat bad food, but that's me. Okay, that's some interesting things. And once again, when it comes to social media, we're finding out, they're becoming a part of everything. Like you hear divorce cases, they're popping up with the social media is always relevant, all these things. Oh, yeah. And the law is going to always be behind the technology. It's just the nature of it.
Yeah, just because the legal system's slow. So by the time you have the technology, somebody files a lawsuit, it may take 2, 3, 4 years for it to go through the court system to get that ruling or that opinion, so that you actually have that case law.
I think that once you really become famous, and you can debate what famous is, but on a national level where people know who you are, even if they're not even consuming your material, they still know who you are because you just break through in the culture. I think Dave Chappelle said once you get famous, you can't get unfamous. No matter how long you hide, you are famous. And so if you go to your driveway and pick up the paper and there's news crews there and they want to cover it, you're still in the public.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it
sucks.
That's pretty true. I mean, the only person who maybe has gotten away from that, I don't know if you saw these photos, but I saw on Facebook or something that someone had posted photos of Jonathan Taylor Thomas, or what they thought was, and no one had seen him in like 10 years or something. And so he's kind of disappeared. Nobody really knows what he looks like at this point. But he was also a child star, so maybe his, what he looks like isn't quite as well known these days.
I think, it is just my personal opinion, I think that if you don't put out more content, if you stop putting out content for the public to consume, you're no longer a public figure, and that's on every platform. If you just go, hey, this is what I did, I no longer do this, and now I'm just, I don't know, I'm Kevin the truck driver now.
Right.
Like, I'm not famous anymore, dude. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to deliver this load, bro. That kind of thing.
There's probably a lot of people like that, too, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to, once again, we're talking to attorney Moses DeWitt from the DeWitt Law Firm. JustCallMo.com is the website. And the Instagram, what is the Instagram again?
I think it's Moses DeWitt. MOSESDEWITT.
I think it's that, too. Man, I'm telling you. I'm asking you what it is, and I don't remember. But I watch you, and fellas, if you guys haven't checked out Mo, we talked to him on the phone, but if you check him out on his Instagram, he's just you're an interesting dude, man. That's all I'll say.
Loose on the gram?
He is very loose. Like, I think doing the segment with us might be the most conservative thing he does. Yeah, Mo will get loose on you, but
get a little loose on
I
there.
appreciate it. Who
me
loose?
Yeah, I mean, there might be some videos of me in a lizard costume and some other stuff on there.
Oh, yeah,
I was going to ask you about all of that. That's wild, bro. I didn't know you were, what do you call that? JR, they call that cosplay, don't they?
Yeah, and he's also with a sombrero, too, so, yeah. Much respect to the sombrero.
Oh, yeah.
Go loco. Go loco. Yeah, we might have to do a little jingle for you.
Yeah.
me and
we
JR
got some of those,
do
too.
Loco for about 4 hours straight.
Mo loco, mo loco.
Mo loco, no popo. No, we got to get to the no popo.
Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah, that's the best part. All right, let's get to the case of the week. Mo, do you have something juicy for us?
It's a little juicy. I try to make it a little juicy. So this one is one where our client had previously been married to a police officer. And they got divorced, and then the police officer got remarried. And so our client was driving around town, and the former wife kept kind of showing up wherever she was, and just weird stuff kept happening. So she kept doing some research, and then finally she did a public records request, and it turned out that the new wife, that her ex-husband's new wife, who was also a police officer, had been using the police database to continuously look her up, sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a day, to see where her vehicle was, what her medical information was in the system, basically all this information that's in the police database. And so
he sued her for being insecure.
Somewhat. So basically she was using the police database to stalk the ex-wife. I mean, that's basically what was going on. So the question is, does she have any recourse? What can she do about it? And is there any way to kind of stop the new wife from continuing to improperly look up the old wife?
Okay. So wait, the client who was your client?
Ex-wife. Sorry if I didn't explain it right properly, but we represent the ex-wife.
I'm saying so. The ex-wife is now being stalked by the new wife that's a police officer using the database to stalk her, basically.
Exactly.
And is the ex-wife asking you to sue or just stop the wife?
Both.
New wife.
Both.
Okay.
Well, suing is stopping. Stopping is suing. All right. That's, man, you'd have to make sure you get a lawyer on that. And I would, but the ex-wife who's the client is also a former police officer.
No. Her former husband was a police officer, so she's the only one who's not a police officer.
Civilian.
Yeah, so
right.
So basically, the ex-husband or her old husband met someone at work. Things started happening probably. Then they got divorced, and rest is history.
Okay.
Well, I'll wait till my turn to ask the question.
You already talking.
This can help y'all. So is the new wife, what you're saying, the new wife is using the police resources to stalk the old
Not
wife?
a police, but using the husband's resources.
Right, she's using the...
No, she's the police, too.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both police.
So, right, and she's using the police resources to stalk a non-police officer.
Correct.
Okay.
Like that makes a difference, Spike. If it's police on police, it's okay.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. Well, now, what is it that we need to figure out here? We need to figure out if she has a.
Well, I have one more follow-up question, real quick.
Go ahead.
What is the purpose of the new wife stalking the ex? Just to get in her head? That's
a dumb question.
Nah.
Well,
if a woman had access to a police database, oh my God, that'd be crazy.
So that's what it is. That's definitely what it is.
I mean, if you want me to tell you what she told us, she said she was just curious, but she did it for like 3 times a day for like a year straight. So,
okay, I see what's happening here. I see what's happening here.
Jezebel.
Yeah, with a badge. Okay. I usually don't go first. I usually go last, but I'm gonna go first and then let y'all pick off the meat off the carcass. Here's the thing. First of all, she needs to be debadged.
okay.
Take a badge. Because that's an abuse of power, and what you are saying is what the public fears in general. I already have a healthy suspicion of the police, and we don't need them in a love triangle database situation. I don't understand why she would have to track her down or try to track her down using police resources several times a week for years. This might be something else going on there. I think maybe this might be some kind of threesome situation here. This gone crazy. Hey, I don't know. I couldn't date the police.
I'll go next. I certainly concur with Kevin that she should be let go because that is an egregious abuse.
You mean debadged? Debadged. We call that debadging.
But
yes.
my law. If I'm the ex-wife, I sue the police department for allowing that to happen and go on for as long as a year,
yes.
which would thereby effectively get her done and get the stalking stopped. But I think the police department is where the lawsuit should go, especially
yes.
if it's been going on for a year.
Can I also say that I would sue whoever runs the computers at the police station? Because they know that there should be a red flag in place that you've been accessing this account or doing these things that have nothing to do with an active case or something. Like, that's a waste of debadging. Let's debadge her.
But not the computer people.
The computer people are they are complicit because they're the computer people, Spike. What you got on this, Spike?
Okay, I'm so far I'm agreeing with you two guys. I think that she should be depoliced or debadged.
Depoliced. I like that better than debadging. Depoliced. You hear that, Moses?
That's a very technical term.
Depoliced.
Very technical.
Yeah, that's very technical. I raise an objection to that, even though it's my co-counsel. I object to him.
And your client should be able to sue the law enforcement. Well, I don't know if you can sue the agency. You can sue the law enforcement agency to the full extent of the law.
Full extent.
Fullest extent.
Yeah, fully, because it's not there anymore.
Yeah, take it away.
It's gone. And sentence her to pick up fish in the bay.
And see, what else can we get with this? She got rid of the job, sued the company. I'm trying to see if the husband is liable too, because he's a bad police officer. He didn't know this. So yeah,
he might not. Well, hold on. Spike, you don't know that he knew. This might be an unknown.
Yeah.
Could be.
But that's why I say he's a bad police officer. If he's sitting there and let crime go in his house and not know it.
You don't understand. In his house, he might have been. He might have had a strong nightstick.
All right, that's my verdict.
Only Mo appreciate that. Okay. JR, what you got on the police and the debadging and what you call it, Spike? Depolicing?
Depoliced. Yeah.
She need to be depoliced.
So the thing, in my opinion, I think the woman could only go to small a court as like personal court or something like that. She really can't.
You mean like Judge Judy?
Yeah. Get a restraining order against a police officer. But unfortunately, the police unions are so strong in the United States that she cannot sue the police department. She cannot sue the police department in any which way, but she could get after the female officer and have a restraining order against her. And that's my conclusion.
Okay.
All right, I like that.
Okay.
Judge Judy. Dizzy? Dizzy, we know you studied Canadian law, but what do you think about this?
I mean, I kind of for sure agree with all you guys with the abuse of power, but I'm leaning towards kind of what JR said. I don't think you can go after the whole, department. I think you can file a complaint and all this against the particular officer, and I'm sure that's what, Internal Affairs looks into. And they could probably see that, maybe a search or two, that she would have been warranted, but all these other searches, it's kind of like unreasonable searches that we're protected against. I feel like now you're harassing her and you're looking for something, and you could really be in trouble for doing that much.
You're invoking the Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure. Is that the right amendment?
They're all under whatever.
One of the top 10 amendments.
And also, I want to put. Okay, can I also say, Moses, we need to put the husband on the stand.
Okay.
I want to know who's hotter. Who's hotter, the ex-wife or the new?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's something going on here with why would you marry? Cops have a high divorce rate.
Oh yeah.
So cop on cop, that's even. I'm thinking also I'd have to put him on the stand to see. He sounds like he might have went to University of Florida. You know what I mean? This sounds like a Gator case.
It really does.
No, because you've already wrong, because the ex-wife is hotter, and I can tell you why. Because the new wife is stalking her. Hot wives don't stalk. Hot women don't stalk ugly women.
That's ugly girl energy.
Well, how are you going? Well, hold on. How do you feel having an insecure person on the police force with a badge and a gun, and you insecure?
I mean, they can't do nothing about that.
Well, I'm just saying there should be better hiring practices.
But
there's no way the new wife is hotter than the ex-wife. No way at all.
Right. That's why the current wife, the new wife, is stalking the ex-wife, because the ex-wife is hotter, and she's scared that a man may relapse.
Because they're in orgies with the sheriff department. Yes.
Whoa.
What? That's too far. Is that too far? Okay.
Last thing, but you can sue agency, because how many people have sued the police department on wrongful deaths and shootings and all that?
Yeah, you definitely can sue the police.
Yeah, we never said that.
They should be. That's where the money's going to come from.
You did say that. No, they all said that.
No, we said in this scenario.
Hold on. Slow down now. If you sue the police department in your city, you need to move to another city, too.
With all that money, you can.
Yeah, really. Well, you better for you're not going to make it a block down the street, buddy.
Serious.
I would move to Canada. All right, Mo, I know we made a mess of this case, and we've invoked gators and swinging and all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you never know, man. There's 8 million stories in the naked city, and this is just one of them.
Yeah, you never know. That's right. So in this case, there's a few things that happened. So as far as, there was an administrative complaint filed against the officer. I think she lost 1 or 2 weeks vacation time. That was kind of a slap on the wrist. That's all that happened to her there.
What?
Yeah, pretty, in my opinion, pretty ridiculous. But then there was also a civil lawsuit against her and the actual agency that she worked for. And so you're kind of onto something there. If you want to go after to protect against this, basically they knew about it, somebody complained about it, and they didn't take the steps to kind of have that red flag come up when one person's looking up somebody 3 times a day for a year or so. There should be a warning flag that goes off that says, hey, maybe this isn't proper. So both the agency and the individual were sued. Now, in order to get a judgment against the agency, you either have to show, a willful disregard, or that the officer was doing something in furtherance of the agency. So with like a wrongful death case or something like that, where that officer shoots the person too many times, they're kind of acting in furtherance of the agency, even though they're doing it improperly. They're trying to make an arrest there. So here, that was very difficult to prove.
I'm laughing that you said they shot him too many times. Once is enough.
Yeah, really. I'll just take one.
Too many times. Y'all shot me too many times. I deserve one bullet.
Not 79.
Not 79.
So ultimately,
Ooh,
I missed the most important part. So accessing the driver's license database there's a federal law prohibiting it, and it's a criminal offense, and there's a civil part to it as well. And so for each, or the way we interpreted this, the laws, each improper lookup entitles the person to $2,500 in liquidated damages, basically $2,500 fine every time they improperly access the information.
Oh wow, that adds up, my friend.
Even in the commission of acting as a law enforcement, you can do that.
An improper access. So if you're acting as a law enforcement,
improper access.
That would be proper. This would be for improper.
Hold on, I got my calculator. You said 3 times a day, every day for 3 years. Woo!
Adds up pretty quickly.
Couple quarters.
Yes, it does. Now I'm talking trash to Drake in the restaurant.
There you go.
I got that police money.
So
Okay.
ultimately, this
I
case
had
went
to,
to a
yes, I
jury.
did.
The jury found a whole bunch of improper lookups because their job was to find out how many times they improperly looked them up. And then the case went up on appeal. Took years. And the end of the day, the court basically said, well, it's $2,500, total, no matter how many lookups there are, and then the judge has the discretion to increase the amount as much as he wants to. So ultimately, this person's judgment got reduced dramatically. They did get a judgment against the new wife, officer who looked them up improperly so many times, but it was not nearly the amount that at the $2,500 a pop.
Oh wow,
Highway robbery.
Yeah, that's she should have been made whole.
Well, I mean, so
Judge
that's
related to the is the judge related to the new wife or the husband?
maybe. I think.
Can you sue the judge?
No, you can't sue the judge. But
okay, well,
with these types of actions, it's really kind of an emotional distress, action, right? And so that's very difficult to prove. How do you prove your damages in a case like this where the lookups were improper? The ex-wife was kind of paranoid, didn't really know what was going on, thought some weird stuff was going on. What's that worth? Well, that's our interpretation was that's why Congress put the $2,500 penalty in their liquidated damages, so that you didn't have to figure that out. Court ultimately said, well, it's $2,500 not per lookup, but per whatever you want to call it, aggregate lookup, I guess. And then the court just kind of has discretion. But that is the problem with those kinds of cases. It's not a case where there's actual physical injury. It's more of an emotional distress, a peace of mind type issue. And so that can be hard for a jury to actually value.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's a really interesting case with the circumstances of you being an ex and the new wife is a police officer and she's looking you up all the time. Man, that's pretty. When I found out about that, I would not be comfortable with that at all. Just not at all. But I guess
it used to be pretty widespread. I mean, there used to be kind of talks amongst agencies that this system was kind of like the Facebook for police officers. They would just look people up, look up other police officers. I think a lot of that's been curtailed now after some of these lawsuits have come around. But
my thing is, what is there to look up? She's the ex. If you don't think the husband is the new husband is having contact with her, then what's the big? I don't get it.
Yeah, in this case, I agree with you. I don't get what she was looking up and what changed on a daily basis. Your information in the driver's license database doesn't change that much. But there was a case in Miami, I think it was Miami, where there was a police officer who she was kind of heavyset and then lost a bunch of weight and became pretty hot. And so then all the other police officers started looking up her new and old driver's license photos in this database, and she got looked up, hundreds, if not thousands of times within a short period of time. So there you can kind of maybe figure out more of the purpose, but
yeah,
she
still
got
proper.
Hot. That was the purpose.
But why look for the fat? Who's looking for the fat pictures when you're seeing a hot woman every day?
Maybe that's what I like, man. I kind of like that.
Well, you know what?
See the transformation.
You know what they say about? Well, you know what they say about women that used to be fat and they're hot now. Still fat in the mind. All right. Well, I wanted to wade into some waters, but I didn't want Mo. We don't want to ever make you feel uncomfortable.
I'm all good, Kevin.
Okay, what's your take? How do you feel about private citizens having exotic pets?
I mean, it's I don't know. I haven't given it a ton of thought. I mean, on the one hand,
I'm trying to catch you off guard.
Yeah, if they have the proper facilities for it, if the animal, can live in the proper facilities, has the room to go out and do what it needs to do, depending on the type of animal, and it's they have the proper fencing or safety precautions or whatever it is, then I don't really think there's anything too wrong with that. Obviously, we've seen some issues where they get out and there's all sorts of liability issues and everything like that.
Okay, so Mo, let's take it to your neighborhood. You're hanging out with your next door neighbor, the neighbor that lives to the right of you, and you guys are having a backyard barbecue, and in confidence, after a couple cold ones, he tells you that he has a king cobra in his house. How you feel about that?
I don't like snakes. Yeah, that's probably not going to go over real well. All right.
And he goes, "Nah, man, he's in a tight enclosure, man. Come on, bring your kid over there. Let's just take some pictures with this cobra."
Yeah, I think I'm changing my stance on this one.
Yeah,
I'm moving the hell out of the neighborhood.
I don't think people should be able to have one, but I was just wondering, is that kind of a thing? Like, someone would walk into your office and they say, "Hey, Moses DeWitt, man, I have a king cobra, and I just want to make sure I'm all legal. I have a license permit for him, but I need I just want to make sure that don't run afoul of the law with this king cobra." Is that some sort of client that you'd entertain?
I mean, that's not something we do. We'd probably put them in touch with someone who handles that. But, I mean, nowadays you do need certain permitting and all that kind of stuff, probably certain insurance as well to make sure you're covered. But I grew up with a kid whose parents had a bunch of snakes like that. I think they had a gator. They had like a lynx cat. They had all sorts of weird stuff.
They had a lynx. Oh, wow.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, actually, one time.
Whoa.
Good.
No, they had what now? You said all kind of snakes, like poisonous snakes, and then they had a wild cat?
Yeah, then they had a wild cat. One time someone got drunk at their house, and they put the cat in with the drunk person.
What? What do you mean?
There was a
Not my type of
cage.
cat.
Cat was pretty friendly. I guess they just put him in there, and when he woke up, he was in with the cat.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, wild animal friendly, nah.
There's no animal that's friendly that you need a permit for.
Yeah, right. Look at my hyena. I swear it's friendly.
Yeah, he's friendly. I feed him raw chicken,
Every day.
and I have to take my pistol with me.
Yeah.
No. No. Okay, all right. That's pretty
the parents
wild.
did eventually go to jail, but that's a different story. So
Okay.
That is a different story. Since we're on the exotic pet thing, Joe Exotic, you think good for the community or not?
I don't think he's really good for the community. No. I mean, he may have started off trying to do a good thing, but I think he certainly got lost his ways somewhere along the line.
Okay. You tell me this, Moses. Who gave you more entertainment in 2020 than Joe
All right,
Exotic?
fair enough.
Come on now.
He had some pretty good entertainment there. That was a good little series. Kept us entertained for a couple weeks
shoot
there.
him. How many hours of free legal advice would you give him? At least a phone. You'd entertain his phone call from jail, wouldn't you?
If Joe Exotic calls, you got to at least pick up the line.
Right now, and you're in the Tampa Bay area. Have you ever had any dealings with Carol Baskin?
No, I haven't.
No,
Never even seen her.
Yeah, but we know what she did though. Okay.
She didn't do anything.
All right. No, she didn't. JR likes older women, so that's why he
It's
defends
not like that.
Carol Baskin.
It's not that I like older women. I'm just on Carol Baskin's side, man. I'm Team Carol.
Yeah, and another connection to the show, Moses, a cat named Mo, emphasis on cat. He lives so close to Carol Baskin that if there was a tiger growling and he was on his back porch, he could hear it.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's sympathetic to it. Sometimes you remember those videos of her looking all doofy riding a bicycle and stuff.
Yeah.
That was on Mo's street. A cat named Mo. That was on his street.
You live right there?
And he would provide.
No.
Yeah. He would towel her down and provide a nice ice cold lemonade for her.
That's
yes,
nice.
he
That's
would.
very nice of you.
Homemade lemonade.
Very nice. Yes. Moses, what's the plan for the weekend? Are you throwing something on the grill? Does the baby have teeth yet?
Oh, the baby's got teeth. Yeah, we might do a little grilling. It's been pretty nice weather out. Just kind of hang out around the house. Nothing too crazy.
I have never met your baby, but I was concerned because one of the first stories you told us is that you actually had concern that your baby was born at a time where everybody had masks on their face, and you were wondering how the baby was going to adjust in a world where they've only seen people with their face covered.
Yeah, he's come around
How's
pretty
that
well.
going?
He's at first he was very shy of people. Kind of when we started going out again, all that kind of stuff. And then the mask thing, I think, threw him
Right.
off even more. But now it goes up to everybody, says hi to everybody, very friendly. So I think he's good. I think he'll be just fine.
Is he taking a liking to the law? Can you tell what direction he may go in the future at this point, like early on?
Well, right now he's very into lawnmowers, so I don't know what that tells me.
Oh, dude, you need to go to no. You need to do some. You need to intervene. You don't want him to be a lawn guy. Come on.
I mean, I can take him outside and just watch a lawn guy mow a lawn, and that's hours of entertainment for him.
He loves it.
Yeah, he loves it. The blower, the weed
see,
whacker, everything.
I'd feel like I'd already failed. I'm like, come on, man, the lawnmower. No, don't
you gonna
do it.
do?
It would take a kid. It'll take a kid a minute to figure out they want to do law. You're not going to get that until he gets into at least elementary school and bring your dad to do school day type thing. My dad sues people.
Yeah, I mean, no little kid wants to go
You know,
watch their dad just sitting at a desk at an office.
Yeah, you're going to have to just let him know when you're doing some of the spicy stuff, you know.
There you go.
Maybe a celebrity divorce or something like that. All right. Well, everybody, the website is justcallmo.com. You hear the commercials. You need a lawyer. You need a professional. And you know that Mo's a good guy, and he's a good guy to go to. Also, you can call. The phone number is 866-CALL-MO. Is that still going? I'm going to have to call it tonight at 3 a.m.
It better be still active. And we do answer the phone 24/7.
Okay. 24/7. All right, Mo, always a pleasure to talk to you. We'll talk to you next Friday. And until next time, govern yourself accordingly.
Yes, sir. Have a good weekend, guys. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. We actually got to do a show this week. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend, a safe weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.